we have to talk about this movie.
Really? That's not a good way to start off.
Well, welcome to the Dog Days of Summer. And this is a 4-part series, and it's a retrospect look at certain movies that we both feel that are underrated. And the very first movie that we drew out of a hat. Go ahead.
It was my pick. It's The Fly 2, which I think is a decent sequel and a great movie, even if it was on its own. It's a great movie that doesn't get enough recognition.
For good reason.
Okay, well...
Eric Stoltz is now forever Marty McFly.
Well, what's funny about that is because I rewatched it yesterday, and his name's Martin in the movie, and they call him Marty, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I think that was a little throwback.
It could have been, and he also has darker hair in it, which is when he was the original Marty McFly, he had to dye his hair darker.
Yeah.
So he looked very similar to Marty McFly.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's give people some background on this movie. So
okay.
This movie takes place about 9 months after the original, correct?
Yes.
And it opens up with a very disturbing birth scene.
Such an intense opening scene. So it's Gina Davis's character, except the actress isn't Gina Davis, but she's in
A look-alike.
Yeah, they look a lot alike actually.
Yeah, the hair and all that. I was like,
and like the mole.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, is that they really got Gina Davis here?
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was reading up on it, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. But
yeah.
I'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. So that's an intense opener. It's her at this like lab. And she's giving birth, and she's in like an excruciating amount of pain. And she's got all these people around her, and she gives birth to this like weird, like cocoon, grotesque creature, and she dies. She passes out and she like dies. And then it turns out it's not just a cocoon, there's something in it, and it's a baby.
Yeah, it's an actually human baby inside the cocoon, which is pretty crazy. And then you see that juxtaposed like later on in the movie, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah.
And when he was like a full grown man.
The part was so cool. Yeah.
And so like I will say this, before we get into it, I will say that the special effects on this are fucking outstanding.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like for an 89 movie,
yeah.
Holy shit,
I
this
know.
movie still holds up. Especially that last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, ah!
Which is a shame because we'll get to this, but because of the MP
AA.
They had to cut out so much stuff. So imagine like how the original was, you know, before the cutting room floor, literally. So
they said that the elevator scene was a lot more gruesome.
It was because they just go smash. This one, like they build up a little bit.
Like,
but that was still a good head smash scene.
Yeah,
though.
it was. But he has so much time to move out of the way.
Fuck you, MPAA. I hate MPAA.
It's like, dude, come on. That scene doesn't make sense logistically. Come on, you had enough time to get out of there.
And what's funny is like that elevator was for like the crew, and then they just kept it. That's hilarious. But yeah, so sidetracking. So the first opener to this is so intense.
Yeah.
And we find out, okay, it's the baby of Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis's character. And then as it goes on, you find out that they keep him in this lab. What are they called? Bartok Industries is the lab that takes over the pods that Jeff Goldblum originally had. But like the little kid doesn't know this. So he's got this genetic mutation where something's happening with his cells. Like it makes him age physically faster.
Yeah, there's an actual disease called Gross syndrome or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
There is an actual disease, and there's actual medical cases of 5-year-olds actually looking like human, like actual adult males.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And I was like, another thing too so they try to set this whole thing up, and then the doctors in here are fucking assholes.
Yes, they are.
They're fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Like there's really no reason to be mean to this kid.
Like they have to keep in mind, like even though, okay, so back he physically ages way fast, and he's got a really high intelligence. He's got a huge IQ, and he's so smart. So even though he literally is like 1 year old, he looks like 15
5.
or no, even older than that, because like when he's 5 he's Eric Stoltz.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is so weird to think about. It's so fucking weird to think about because of the sex scene. You're like, dude, a 5-year-old is having sex. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever to me.
I was like, I actually made a joke after that scene, and I was like, oh man, does she know she's gonna be hooked on statutory now?
I know. It's so weird. But he's so intelligent where, you know, you kind of excuse that. You kind of like dismiss that for a little bit. So
Can you?
I mean, I push it aside just cause. but yeah.
So he's about like, let's say like 10 when he's 1. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's what they said, especially in the beginning when they show you the graph.
Yeah,
so
the graphs.
When he's like 1 year old, he's gonna be 11 or something like that. And so right around the time you meet this kid, which
you didn't like the kid of him?
I didn't like the kid version, honestly.
I did.
I didn't like it. I don't know. There's something about the kid that just kind of bugged me. I don't know.
I liked him because I think he looked a lot like Eric Stoltz, and
he did.
His demeanor was good. Like you could say, okay, this kid's a little shit, you know, like there's more to him because so when he's a kid, he's figuring out that he doesn't have access to all these different levels in the lab. And you have to keep in mind, like, it's a little kid kept inside
who is
a
like
little lab where they watch him 24/7.
Who's literally a fucking supercomputer too.
Yeah, his little helmet with all that like stuff.
It's like he is so smart, and then he hacks in to the computer systems, breaks into Area 4 where he wasn't
Level 4.
Wasn't supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And he befriends a dog.
Oh my god, the dog. Oh my god. So he befriends this dog that's in this like animal testing lab vicinity thing.
Yeah.
It's a cute golden retriever. He's so
Airbud.
cute. Yeah, it looks like Airbud or like what's Comet from Full House. So
Good one.
they form a bond. He lets him out and he like pets him and like they communicate and you know like okay, this is the only thing because you have to keep in mind he has no contact with other people except the dick doctors.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any friends, you know, so he befriends this animal and then he goes like a couple nights later, he tries to go back to visit the dog, but it's gone. Yeah, the dog is missing. And then that's when he finds out where
Are they gonna do it?
Are they gonna do it? Yeah. And then the pods come into play. So Jeff Goldblum's pods, you see them, the little beehive looking things, and then you see them put the dog in. And this is where it all starts. This is where his rebellion starts. This is where he gets to know these people are not on my side at all. You know, these are the enemy. So then the dog, what do you think happens to the dog? It gets mutated.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it.
The dog. So here's the thing, though. Like, people said that like that was an emotional scene, especially what happens toward the end of the film.
Yeah.
Like, toward the middle of the film.
Yeah. I cried.
To me, it's like I Am Legend, where you know with Will Smith, and then you had the dog. So
which they probably copied this from, like, or
probably
Legend copied.
Actually, and I think the Omega Man, he had a dog.
Did he?
I think so. With Charlton Heston.
Oh God, it's been so long since I've seen that.
I think he might have had a pet in that movie. But anyway, but the point is that you know, Will Smith and the dog, they basically go through the whole entire movie, and then you feel for Will Smith because he's literally alone.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, I feel like because they get rid of the dog so quickly. Mm-hmm. You don't have a time to like, you know, create an emotional attachment to the dog.
In The Fly 2?
Yeah.
That was one thing. I wish there was one more scene with the. I don't know. Maybe it got cut. It could have got. It's possible that it could. Because I feel.
There weren't a whole lot of cutscenes on the editing floor because they're all on YouTube now.
I don't know. I remember the dog thing being more in it when I saw this when I was younger. I don't know. Maybe like they cut it or edited it recently. I have no clue. I feel like there was more dog scenes. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. I just know that like when that happened, I was like, oh well.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. I'm just
you
saying
just don't care about animals. PETA is gonna be all over your ass.
No animals were harmed during the making this podcast.
Meow. But
right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue as my cat is right here.
But see, there was just no emotional attachment, and so I was like,
I still cry at that. I don't know what, because I have more sympathy for animals than human beings. And
I do too.
Doesn't sound like it.
I do too, but it was just like there was no emotional attachment. I couldn't really,
because it was his only friend. It was his only friend.
I felt it in I Am Legend, and I cried during that scene. But this scene, I couldn't help but laugh.
You laughed when the dog, like when he killed the dog?
not there, but when he was in the pod,
Oh.
I kind of chuckled there. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That dog looks pretty hideous, but that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It was sad.
And then that scene, though. The dog
Yeah,
scene,
so later on, well, we're kind of jumping, but later on, they keep this dog. Okay, so backing up, Martin, who's Eric Stoltz's character, thinks that the dog's dead after that mutation thing. He
well,
thinks
hold on,
like,
when we get there, we'll talk about it. So
Okay.
let's go. So he yells and says, and the doctor's off. How'd that little shit get in here?
yeah, how'd that little shit get in here?
And he's like, "Aw," and the doctor's like, "Huh, I don't know." Fast
Yeah, they're all like
forward,
oblivious.
and then cut to like a birthday cake with a 5 on it.
Yeah,
and there's like no text says 5 years later or nothing. It just
but you get it. Like you get that he's older now, and when you see him, you understand. I do.
Is it 5 hours later? Is it 5 days later? Is it 5 months later?
It's just a birthday cake, and you see him older now, so you get okay, he's older now. Who knows how long time? Well, it technically, because not trying to pull a quantum leap here, but when he it's when he's at the party, he overhears the people saying, "Oh yeah, we've had him for like 2 years." So it could have been anywhere from.
No, but they're talking about the other thing. I think.
No, they're talking about the dog, that they've had the dog for like 1 to 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Wait, are you talking about the dog or are you talking about Stoltz?
The dog. So any time period or any time between like 1 to 2 years, he could have became 5 years older between that segment that you're talking about.
It's like that movie Jack. You ever see that movie Jack?
With Robin Williams?
Yeah.
Long time ago.
But it's the same syndrome that he's going through, though.
Oh, yeah.
He has the same syndrome. He's like 5, but he's like a 40-year-old man in a kindergarten class.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the whole you don't know thing because, like, reading reviews, a lot of people thought this movie was too fast paced. They thought they jumped too many things.
I actually like the fast pace because
I did too.
Didn't give you a chance to question things.
It just like you're kind of like in this, and it's like boom, boom, boom. Like you're not bored. I mean, I wasn't bored. Like there's always constantly something going on, in my opinion.
I wasn't bored either. I thought it was just I thought it was interesting, but we'll get to that. So anyway, then he gets his own place.
Yeah, his whole thing is he wants privacy.
Yeah.
So they give him like a really nice like apartment setup, but it's still in the lab. It's still like technically in the Bartok industry lab thing.
Yeah, but they gave him like a penthouse suite.
Yeah.
And the first thing he does is runs to the bathroom and flushes the toilet.
And jumps on the bed. Which I thought was funny because like he's technically still a 5-year-old.
He's still a kid, yeah. Oh, I get that. So and so he's enjoying that. So then all of a sudden the reveal happens. Bartok says, "Hey, the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to work on these pods.
Yeah, finish what your dad started kind of thing.
You have the mind to make this work, so I want you to make it work."
Yeah.
Says you can have anything you want, any of your resources, any people on your staff. He's like, "I don't want no one. I'll
just
do it
him." And he works at night because he doesn't sleep. That's one of his things is he can't sleep. Yeah.
And he doesn't sleep at all. And he doesn't have bags under his eyes, which pisses me off.
It's Eric Stoltz. He's a hottie, in my opinion.
It's like, I stay up for like 3 days straight, and my eyes are all droopy. And this motherfucker stays up for like 3 days straight, and he just looks normal.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
Well, that could be like part of his genetic thing, Oh,
his disorder.
His disorder, in quotations, yeah.
And then he's wandering in the hallway, meets Daphne Zuniga.
Yeah, I love her. She was in The Sure Thing, and she was also in like Spaceballs and stuff. She was known as like the fun role actress like in the late 80s, mid to late 80s.
Yeah, she wasn't a fun actress when she was in Melrose Place. She was kind of a bitch.
But that was 90s.
I'm saying that's what everyone else knows her from.
Yeah.
That's where I know her from. But
so she works there. She like works in like filing or something.
She's fly fishing.
Yeah.
She's fly fishing.
It's a little toy. It's not an actual fly fishing. She's just like messing around because it's nighttime. She's got the graveyard shift.
And I yelled out, "Dude, she's killing your cousin!"
But it was a fake fly. It wasn't real.
I know, but dude, why you gotta take the steam out of my joke? What's wrong with you? Oh my god.
Anyway, but I thought that was a good pun because it's a fly, and that's what gets his interest to go see who's doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
So they meet, they talk, and he somehow lures her back to the
his little
laboratory.
Yeah.
To show her something.
Yeah. And
then,
her reaction to that should have, in my opinion, should have been bigger. Like, you just witnessed something, because he, like, takes her cactus or something. He needs an organic matter to put in the pod. Because he transferred a telephone perfectly, but he needs, like, an organic matter to successfully transfer. So he takes her cactus, and it mutates in the other pod. And she's like, not even, I would have been like, holy shit, that just teleported. She should have had like a bigger reaction, in my opinion.
She played it off like, oh, okay,
that's
whatever.
cool. Yeah.
It's like, what? Seriously?
Yeah.
I think she honestly thought like he planted it or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe that's why she wasn't impressed.
Because she thought he was just trying to like get in her pants. Yeah.
And so it was like, dude, you just saw the cactus go from this pod to pod B, like, and you're not impressed, and then you go and type something into the keyboard,
enter,
and then you leave. It's like, oh, okay, and then it cuts to like the weirdest montage ever.
What?
The country music with the montage of them working on the pod with the country song in the back.
Yeah. So then it like,
and then they're dancing in a laboratory.
They're dancing.
It's like,
I thought that was cute because you have to remember this movie was marketed as a date movie. The first one wasn't. This was marketed for like a dating couple.
The first movie is the ultimate date movie.
But it wasn't marketed like that. And they were older and all they do is just have sex. There wasn't anything. This had a little more like innocence with it than the first one.
Because these are teenagers.
Right, they're teens. Well, they're like 20.
This was a teen monster movie is what it was. And, you know, it did come out Valentine's weekend, so.
That's right.
And then what else happens after that? After the montage.
So they get to bond more together. They like each other. And then that dick security guard guy with the blonde hair, he's just like not letting them. He's not having it. He's not having it. Yeah.
Not having it, man.
So he gives her shit. He gives him shit. And then did they have sex? I don't remember. That's a little later on.
That's later. Because before the guard comes up and cock blocks him, she invites him
to the party. That's right. And this is his first social gathering. Yeah.
So this is his first time being around people.
Yeah.
And no one's the wiser that they know who he is. You know what I mean? They just think he's just someone else.
And then this is where he overhears people
talk about the dog.
Talk about his dog. And then he gets kind of like, what? So then he goes and visits like this weird like well where they're keeping the mutated dog. And that seems so sad because like the dog is struggling to come out. It's eating out of that like little pathetic dish. I don't know. And then that's where he gets pissed and he's like, everything's a lie.
He's like,
and just goes crazy.
The dog is eating a ranch dressing.
I don't know what that was. That was gross.
That was like, what the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Like, that looked like blue cheese.
Like oatmeal? Is it oatmeal or something?
I don't know. It was like a slop. Like, oh my God, it looks gross.
It's probably leftovers from like the cruise food or something.
So the thing is that he sees the dog come out. And then he has this emotional reaction that we're supposed to have with him.
And I had it. If you didn't have it, you're a horrible human being.
It's like, I'm sorry. It's just like, you know, there wasn't enough time for me to get to know him as a kid. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough time for me to get that emotional attached to these two characters.
Because you're just not sympathetic.
No, it's because a dog was treated as like a plot device instead of like a character development tool.
I don't know. I felt it. I was sad. I was on his side to get revenge.
I'm not saying that he wasn't right. I'm just saying I didn't feel that scene. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
So then he's looking at the dog. Daphne Zuniga comes up and says, "Hey," and then he burns her. Runs. Like,
tire screech, burn. He takes off. He closes, and like my favorite line is like, "You don't have access" or something like that. You no longer have access
to my sector.
Slam! It's like a phone hang up, you know, like burn.
Instead of slamming the door, he just sliced the door.
Yeah, but to be fair, she didn't know about the dog.
Yeah, and that was which I thought was weird because me and my lady were talking about that, and we're like, why did he have that kind of reaction toward her?
I guess because she invited him to this party and she knows the people that were there and he was just upset. You know, he still has that 5-year-old tantrum, like emotional, you know, that's probably why. I don't know. That's my guess.
I don't know. To me, I feel like Okay, that makes sense because
Yeah.
yes, he is. He's still a kid throughout this whole entire movie, so he
Yeah.
acts like a kid. Okay, so that makes sense then. That would make sense why, because then, but then I'm not thinking about. It's like, well,
He was
she
pissed
didn't-
off.
Yeah, she didn't invite you there to like show you the dog. She just invited you there because she liked you.
But you got to create that drama.
Yeah,
You got to create that drama to break him up for a little bit, you know?
Then later in the scene, he breaks in
Mm-hmm.
and kills the dog.
Yeah, and that's well, he does it.
Chloroforms the shit out of
He
the dog.
chloroforms the dog, but he pets him first because the dog remembers him. Like,
Yeah.
oh, because you have to remember this mutated dog bit that one guy's hand. Remember when it came out of the telepod and all that ooze and the red?
Yeah,
So the dog was angry. The dog was mutated and angry, so he didn't get along with everyone. But he recognized Martin. So then you see him like, oh, okay, I remember you. And then he's like petting him. And then that awful chloroform scene, which I still cry
How
at.
could that dog even see?
He had eyes.
It looked
Mutated eyes,
It
but
looked
he
like
could
the
see.
eyelid was like going over his eye.
He could see though. He knew he could smell him, or he knew it was him. You know, dogs go by like sense.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Well, see, I'm not an animal person,
I
obviously.
know PETA is just gonna be all over your ass.
Shit. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, my cat's avoiding you. Like, oh my god, don't kill me.
She's sitting right behind me, actually, trying to claw my back.
Climb.
And
Okay, so
after that, what happens next?
he gets angry. But then he feels bad for treating Daphne that way. So then she comes back, I think, to the lab.
He leaves the rose on her
Yes,
desk,
he leaves a rose for her. Yeah, and then
it says I'm sorry or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she comes back, and then they go back to the apartment.
and then they have sex.
Do the deed.
Which he's still 5, but it's so weird. But yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. It's like, what?
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, to her credit, I guess, and she doesn't know how old he is.
That's true. She
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
know the whole story, and he looks 20. So
Yeah, and so they started up doing the deed. She wakes up, she leaves, and then that same morning, or that same night rather,
Yeah.
she gets transferred.
she gets transferred, and that dick blonde security guard like is there, and he's like, "Oh, is there something wrong?"
Yeah.
And he's so taunting to her, right? I'm like, you're like, I can't wait for this guy to die, but she gets transferred, and he knows about the sex thing, and then she freaks out.
What did he say?
I forgot.
That's what you get for fucking with Bartok's toys.
Yeah,
or
something like that.
I'm
Yeah.
Like, oh, what a
I
dick.
know, yeah. So then she gets all scared, right? And she's back at her like houseboat that she lives in. And she tries calling, and she can't. It's the operators are not letting her reach him, and he's trying to call her, and they're not letting him do any dial out phone calls. So they're like, oh my god, like they can't see each other, and they're trying to block them. So then finally, he's so smart, he hacks, and then he's able to reach her.
Yeah, he hacks the telephone line.
He hacks the telephone line.
Calls
Yeah.
her. So another thing is, how do you get her number?
I'm sure between the sex and between the dancing, he got her number.
Okay, all right. Never mind.
He's smart. He figures it out.
he
There's a
figured it out.
directory or something. Who knows?
It's not like
You don't need to know. It's not important.
Yeah, it is. 'cause
It's
a
not
plot hole.
important.
It's like, wait, did he go to the phone book and look her up?
There's things that are not necessary to show. Anyway, they're a couple. Like, obviously, they're going to have each other's phone numbers.
Are they though?
Oh, my God.
Question
Unless it's a
mark.
one-night stand.
Okay, so
It's not Tinder. This was 1989. People had to remember numbers back then. You didn't have it like,
or a pager number.
Oh, yeah, pager numbers. But anyways.
Dial 1.
Anyway.
And so they finally get a hold of each other.
Yeah.
And like the first thing is like, oh my God,
she's like, they know they filmed us having sex, and then he like gets crazy.
Oh my God.
He goes to his apartment and like breaks everything, tries to find the camera, and then the two idiots are like, he knows.
He knows. And then he calls the Bartok.
Yeah.
And this is like my favorite scene. This
What?
is my favorite scene right here. So he calls the Bartok and says, we lost him. It's like, where is he? I don't know. He could be anywhere. Boom! The door just kicks in. Like, oh my God!
It's him, yeah.
So there was a few parts where it was genuinely funny, and it made you think: did they write them as jokes? Like,
It could have been because like
that was like this. We replayed that so many times.
the door scene.
Yeah, that was for whatever reason, That
it's
shit
like,
was
bam!
the funniest ever.
Really?
Yeah, because
It was like perfect comic time.
yes,
Well,
like,
you
we
know
don't know
what's
where
funny?
he is. Boom.
It's like dramatic. It's like a wrestling opener.
Yeah. That's
Well,
so-
you know what? Like that documentary link that you sent me, I watched it, and they said the crew had such a fun time making the movie. So
it
that's
looked like a fun time making
and
that
it looked like
movie.
a fun time, and a lot of the crew members are in the movie. So I think they just had a lot of fun with it, you know.
Yeah, it's,
But Eric Stoltz is such a serious actor, and like they were even saying how he's such a method actor. So
yeah, he's completely method.
maybe they made him do that to like kind of break out of his shell or something, because he's a very serious guy. But yeah, that was a good scene.
The part where they're visiting the
Oh no, we'll get there right there. That's coming up.
Okay.
That's coming up.
Were
That,
those written in? Because that's hilarious.
that's another.
What are you guys
fun-
talking about? Okay, we'll get to that, I
we'll
guess.
get to that. It's John Getz's character.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
Okay, so
He's so eccentric.
so he's going through everything,
Yeah.
looking through the tapes.
And then he finds his dad, so they show Jeff Goldblum being, interviewed. Seth, right? That's his
Yeah,
name. I
Seth.
can never remember Seth. So then they show, he sees videos of stuff like that, and then Bartok
Well,
says, "Now you know." I guess. Oh, he finds out that everything they were giving him. No, that's not out of that scene.
no. So, funny little tidbit. That actual interview that he plays by Jeff Goldblum, that's an actual deleted scene from
the first
vlog.
one, yeah.
So I thought that was pretty
But
cool.
doesn't Bartok say "Now you know," or is that later? I
Well,
feel like
no,
he says something
so
right there.
He finds the tape of him having sex.
Yeah.
And he watches it and he stops it. It's like, and then he goes and then he finds his dad's tapes.
Yes.
Starts playing them.
Yeah.
And then he listens and then he sees what his dad has been coming, because at that point he doesn't know that his dad had turned into anything. They only gave him like the human form of his dad. They never showed him what he turned into.
They just always said that you have the same thing as your dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he never knew what it was.
That's right.
He just knew there was a mutated gene in him.
That's right.
And then at the same time, Bartok comes in and says, "Well, now you know.
Now you know.
Now
That's
you know
right.
the
Yeah.
truth. Now you know why we want you here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now what we're going to do to you is that we want to harvest your organs."
And at this time, you can very slowly see Martin's face changing. There's
Yeah.
little things like it's not so obvious, but you can tell like, okay,
very
something's
subtle.
something's starting
Yeah.
to change in him. And then, Bartok tells him, and then
he takes off.
He takes off.
And then he goes, he runs, gets cornered by the security guard, finds that asshole security guard.
Yeah.
He says, "You want to leave, you have to get through me."
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? He goes right through you.
Right through him. And then he
Goes out
escapes.
the window,
Yeah.
jumps out, meets Daphne Zuniga
At her houseboat.
At her boat, and then at that time he's starting to mutate.
You really start seeing it, and she's kind of like, "What's going on? What's happening?"
Yeah, and so like, "Oh, you need your medicine," and then what we forgot to say.
That was where he gives them like, "Oh, these are all placebos,
Yeah,
right?"
they're placebos.
Yeah.
So we're just giving you water. That's all it is.
Yeah, so they wanted him to think that he was being treated, but no, they were just waiting for him to transfer into what he actually is.
Yeah.
Which is so fucked up to me. It's
You know,
so messed up.
I would have thought that they would have tried to figure out a way to speed up the process.
Maybe they were trying, maybe that they were giving him some stuff to do that, but yeah. It's just so messed up. So he finds out like these people don't have my best interest whatsoever. So you really start to feel for him. I feel at this character arc, like, oh my God, he's been lied to his whole entire life. And he can't trust anybody. So the only person he trusts is the girl that he loves. So he goes to her for comfort. So then they like run away together.
Right
and
before they show up at her fucking house.
Yeah, they show up and like they, look at her place and everything, and they can't find him. So then they go and they like try to stay at this hotel, but then he escapes. And then they go to John Getz's place. They find John Getz.
Yeah, that's so.
Who's from the first one? He's the only one that returned for this one, but he was the guy that liked Gina Davis in the original one.
So I think that was her boyfriend in the first one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they're just sleeping together. They didn't really.
Okay.
Yeah.
because the way he made it sound is like, well, your dad stole my girlfriend. Blah, blah, blah. I was like,
something like that.
Like, wait a minute, I don't remember that being the case.
I think he just wanted, maybe he did love her, but they were just kind of like friends with benefits kind of things.
Yeah, so there's a scene in there. So he's missing an arm and a leg,
which is because
of the first movie.
Yeah,
and so.
And his house was cool. Like he hesitantly lets them in, and you could really see Martin getting more and more.
Like he must have from OCD because all of a sudden, like Martin's gonna sit down. Like, don't sit right there.
Yeah, don't. And that wasn't planned, by the way.
Yeah, no, he was saying like, oh, gets.
Wait, isn't that one of the jokes? Like he forced his way in or something, and he goes, "I guess I should have invited you in."
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
One of the jokes.
Yeah, he goes through the window. That's right, to open the door.
And he opens the door and he turns around. He's like, oh, I guess I should have let you in.
Yeah.
And then they follow him and he's gonna sit down. Like, don't sit right there.
Don't sit there. Yeah, so eccentric.
And so Getz tells him the story about everything, the real story or his side.
His side of the story.
And I don't remember what he says, but I think he says. I don't know, but there was something to preface that. It was like Martin says something about morality,
and
then he says, "Well, all morality is going to get you is going to cost you an arm and a leg."
Yeah,
and then he the arm that he's missing, he just takes a sip.
Yeah, of this drink.
And I was like, "Oh, get it? Arm and a leg." Because his morality in the first one, literally cost him that.
His arm and a leg. Mm-hmm.
So that was a funny joke. We ruined it, but if you
gotta watch it, yeah.
If you watch that house scene though, that whole house scene is pretty fucking hilarious.
It is, but it's also a cool house. But so then they like, okay, we can't rely on he's obviously not gonna help, but he does give them a Jeep because he knows that their car is being looked for, so he kind of helps out a little bit.
Or did they steal the Jeep?
No, he's like, here, they're going to be looking for your car, so he throws them the keys of his Jeep.
I must have missed that scene, because I don't remember seeing that. Yeah.
No, so they do. They take it, and then they leave.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they just stole the Jeep.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, they go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Cuts to night. Now Martin's going into a cocoon.
My favorite scene,
and he's all...
literally a cocoon on the couch.
And so he's just like, oh my God. And that right there is where it really impressed me because I was like, dude, that looks real.
It just looks so gross. And then she kind of sits near him, and then his eyelid
comes out.
He pulls his eyelid out though, and he's like, I feel better. I feel I'm. What does he say? It's like I'm recovering or something like that. But he starts to feel better. But he looks so grotesque and so disgusting, and you can tell like something darker now is finally hitting him, even in the voice and everything. Like,
God, that line that he hits her with when she leaves, she's like, "Don't go anywhere. I'll show you some real magic tricks or something like that."
Yeah, that was creepy.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah. So then okay, now he's getting darker. He's becoming more like his dad. And then she
makes the call.
Makes the call. So then Bartok, their people come and take him in like those hazmat suits, and then they take him back to the lab, and he just gets worse and worse.
And then he now he's actually going into the second stage of his rebirth. Now he's fully immersed in a cocoon. Mm-hmm. And then
that was good too. The effects on that.
Yeah, it was.
That was good.
Now the fun starts.
Yeah, this is where all the gore comes now. All the dark shit comes now.
So this is where the fun shit goes, man. Mm-hmm. This up until this point, I was like, whatever. But up until here, I was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, he breaks out of his cocoon.
Yeah.
And then gets that mean doctor.
The one with the glasses or the woman?
The girl.
Oh, yeah. She was a bitch.
I wish they showed her suffer just a little.
Just a little bit more.
Because, you know what? She was a fucking bitch throughout the whole movie.
She was such a bitch. Yeah. Messing the needle in his arm. Like, totally rude. Stand still.
Stand still. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Like, you serious? He was still. What the fuck?
I know.
You just suck at your job.
And they're placebos anyway.
Yeah. And so the doctor with the glasses comes in. Sees her and strung up from the fucking roof, Predator style.
Yeah, it did remind me kind of like Predator.
I was like, that doesn't fit, but okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Keep watching.
It's so all of a sudden, I forget what happens. Something he sees something, he runs out, and it says, and then these security guards come out with guns. They're like, he escaped, go, go, go.
Yeah. Now they're like on alert because he's out
Yeah.
and no one knows where he is.
Now he's running down the stairs, and I think he gets caught, right? He gets caught by the fly, right? Or is that later?
The doctor with the glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does get caught, and then he kind of like, that's a brutal one. He kind of like throws him over the, like where the staircase thing is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so his body's just like hanging there.
Oh, wait, that was the one? Oh, yeah, so
This is the one you're laughing at?
this is another one that we were laughing at. I think this is the one, because this is the one where he was trying to get into the door, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so right before this, Bartok calls like, I want him alive. Do not kill him. I want him alive.
Yeah.
So when you say that, you should have non-lethals ready
Right.
with tranks.
And they
all that.
didn't, though. They just had
They
like
went
bullets.
straight for the machine guns.
Yeah.
It's like, I want him alive. All right, go straight for the machine guns.
Well, the dick security guard wasn't listening because he wanted him dead. He had like his ulterior motives.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? He's killed like 3 of my people. What's
Yeah.
up? Oh, before we should get there, the security guard, 3 of them catch him in the boiler room.
Mm-hmm.
The dog finds the fly, and then the dog just pants at him, and then the
Oh,
fly
I liked that scene.
pets
Yeah.
him.
So
That right there was like, that's cool.
No, that was
got
good.
me.
That was good writing because it's a guard dog. It's another dog, not the dog from earlier. It's another.
Yeah,
It's a guard
it's a
dog that
Rottweiler.
Rottweiler that they take, and then they think, okay, this dog is gonna help and like kill him, but he just runs to him and then he pets it, and then you see his little fly hand like pet the head, and you're like, oh, so he's still sympathetic towards animals,
Yeah.
but not humans.
And so he gets the other 2.
Yeah.
I think he bends one of them backwards, right?
Yeah, and
And then
the face one. Isn't one
The
of them.
acid.
Oh
That's
fuck,
the
that scene
second
was
one.
so good. Yeah,
And then his face is all melting.
it's like
and
melting
shit,
off.
"Ah!"
It's so gross.
And I was like, dude, that looks so fucking good for 1989.
I know the effects
like,
were
wow.
amazing.
It's like, man, I wish shit like that could happen
Today.
Like, today.
It'd be CGI today.
I know. And
Yeah.
then it just wouldn't have that same effect.
I know.
Because when you saw it, it was supposed to be gross and disgusting. And
Yeah, you
you're
don't want to
supposed see
eat
all that stuff.
You don't want to eat when you're watching this movie, just like the first one.
I
It's
got
so
a funny
gross.
story about that too.
Oh,
So, before we watched this movie, my lady got a big bowl of adobe.
what's dobe?
Adobe? It's like, what is it? What do you call
Adobe?
it?
What is
Adobe?
that?
It's like I made an Indian food.
Oh, you made that and watched this Indian food to watch? Oh,
And she's all like, had
Oh.
like a big bowl of rice and like adobe and just like, and then at the bursting, she's like, I should not have eaten this.
I told you not to eat. I told you.
I mean, I could handle it. I mean, but
No, it's gross. I mean, there's anything with ooze gets me. Anything like with ooze and bodily fluids really grosses me out. Like it just really grosses
I
me out.
remember one time I watched Human Centipede. Going off track, but I promise there's a point to this. I watched Human Centipede, the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and I had Chinese food. I had sweet and sour chicken
Oh no.
and rice, and I was throwing the munch. And this is around the time where the guy's all, I got to take a shit. I gotta take a shit.
Ew, I
have
hate
to
that
take a shit."
scene.
And then the guy's all, well then, you must take a shit then. And at this point, the girl's mouth is literally attached to the guy's
It's like
ass.
sewed to the ass. Yeah.
And so it's like, oh shit. And
Literally.
I'm sitting there eating, and then like I'm looking at it, and like, cause you see like kind of the thing.
Yeah.
right? And
Oh
so-
god, it's so gross.
And I'm looking down on my food. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. This is like not what I want to eat right now.
I know. It's so disgusting.
And so yeah, so that was the only time that I ever like put my food away.
Yeah.
I ate during this movie and it didn't bug me that much.
It
But
didn't bug you.
It didn't, pun intended. And so the doctor comes in, tries to save the day.
Yeah.
And tries to enter the laboratory where all our main antagonists are
Mhm.
and the girl
Mm-hmm.
where they're hiding out.
They're trying to get the password meanwhile.
Yeah,
because
comes through
yeah.
the vent
Mhm.
and then grabs the doctor by the neck
Mhm.
and then is like, I won't do it, and then cuts back up to a scene of cuts to a guard coming through the door.
Mhm.
And he opens the door and then it's like you see the fly. He opens the door, the fly, and then the doctor, right?
Mhm.
And then the way that it's shot, it was so hilarious because right at the same time as the fly turns, the doctor flies.
The doctor flies, yeah.
The doctor flies to the door, and then right at that time, the guards are closing the door really quick, like, ah!
Yeah,
And
everyone's freaking out.
Oh! But we were rewinding that scene so many times because it just looked so fucking funny. It just looked so weird because then, like, we slowed motioned it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a dummy! It's a dummy! It's
a dummy, yeah.
Because it looked all weird.
When it lands, yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But that was a funny scene to us.
Yeah. But so like the doctor is or the head is like freaking out because meanwhile this is all going on. Martin set up where no one can have access to the pods. He set up a password. And I apologize for the noise in the background. I can never predict when these guys are coming. It's the gardeners. Sometimes they come at 10, 1 or 2, so I apologize if you hear, and they're literally right outside behind me. So I apologize. So I'm just going to talk really loud. But anyway, so Martin set up a password and no one can access it. So Bartok is like trying, he wants Martin still alive. Like he doesn't want all of his work to go to shit. He wants to keep it going, wants to find out more and have the pods work. So then all these things are going on and Daphne's in there. She doesn't really do anything in this scene. She's just kind of like there. And so finally everyone else is dying. So then Bartok and Daphne are still alive. And then he takes Bartok. This is like one of the best scenes. Takes him.
Okay, so before we get there though, we forgot to mention that right around the time as the fly breaks in, he starts picking off the guards.
Yeah,
and
one by one.
And then he gets the guards and he chucks them into the elevator.
Oh, this is the infamous elevator scene.
And so initially the scene was supposed to play straight, where he chucks them into the elevator and the elevator splats.
Yeah,
right?
the rating system said that would be rated X.
But the MPAA said you can't have that.
Yeah.
It's not good. And they're like, okay, well, what do we do? They kept the scene, but they just added a throwaway shot of the fly looking at him. To me, it's like, oh, well, that doesn't work because the elevator's coming down so slow.
Yeah.
The guard still had time to move. And so I was like, come on, dude. Like, there's no way in hell the floor is that slippery.
I know. So, but you're just like waiting and waiting. But once it hits, it's still a good smash.
Yeah.
It's a good head smash still for sure.
And then he finds the main guard, and then he burns him.
Oh, that's right. It was like a watermelon smash. That's right. Do you wanna? Is this picking up too much? It's literally right behind me. Literally right behind me, all this noise.
Well, I can still hear you. We're good.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
I am sorry. I can't predict when these guys come. They change their hours all the time, so I have no control over this.
Yeah. Well,
it'll just be like sound effects. It'll sound like Jason or Leatherface and.
Hey, we're talking about the fly. Well, I mean, what better way to talk about the fly than an army of swarms?
Swarms. It is a buzz sound.
Yeah. So there you go. So there you go. Thematically, it fits. So
okay. Cool.
We worked it.
Free sound effects.
So he burns the guard, and then I can't remember what happens after him though. Did he die? He dies though, right?
Oh yeah.
I can't remember how though.
The guards?
Yeah.
They all
die.
die.
The main guard.
The blonde guy?
Yeah.
He throws him off, remember? He's up on the rafters or on the up on the other floor.
Because I know he spits on him and it burns his hand.
But he gets another shotgun, and that scene's great because he loads another gun, and you see his hands still affected. But then he's like, oh no, he's up on the second floor. So then he goes up there. Then they have like a rough and tumble kind of thing, and then he does something, but then he throws him over, and then he like falls and dies.
Oh, okay.
He lands really weird too. Like his legs land really weird, so he dies.
So,
yeah.
And then, so the fly gets Bartok, and drags them into the pod.
Yeah, this scene's so great.
Which was good. Oh, before though, so we've got to mention this because we're just so excited about this.
And all the noise in the background.
In the scene, in the hotel scene, or a couple scenes back, Stoltz implies a password onto the pod so no one can use them.
Yeah.
And the doctors are trying to figure out how to break into this. And one of the doctors actually says, abracadabra, that's a magic word.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not the word.
Right.
I can assure you that. With a straight face, like, okay. And so they says, just break into it. It's like, we can't because we put one wrong password in there.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing will erase.
Yeah.
And once they catch him in the hotel, Bartok asks Martin, what's the password? And he doesn't say anything. He says something to him, but I can't really make out what he says to him.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then right around the time, so right at the ending, he gets him and has him type in dad
because
into the computer.
Because in the very beginning, when Bartok is first introduced, he goes, "You can think of me as your dad."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sad scene. That was like a sad moment.
And so he drags him into the pod.
He drags Bartok into the pod, and then Daphne's there, and she hits enter. And
well,
then,
it took her a while to figure it out because like he's all like this.
Yeah.
So
his little fly hands trying to
like this, and like having Bartok's hand go like this, and she's all like, no.
And she's in shock because of everything that's happened.
And so before we go into that, so Martin is trying to figure out a way to get rid of his mutated genes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but after the montage of the country music,
country music dancing.
Yeah. So he figures out how to extract the mutated DNA from him.
Mm-hmm.
And the computer says you would need a healthy donor.
Yeah.
To transfer your DNA into him.
So two people would have, him and another person would have to go into the pod.
Yeah, and the graph said, subject A would be like deteriorating while subject B would be, normal.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, shit, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to sacrifice anyone.
That's what it was. When he was at, when they went to Getz's house, that's what he was saying. Because, like, Martin says something to Getz, and Getz is all like, well, you found the cure, haven't you? It's like,
that's right.
No.
That's right.
He's like, yeah, you did. You found something.
Yeah.
And then Daphne pushes him and says, what was it? It's like, like, no. It's like, I don't want to,
I don't want to sacrifice
I don't want to sacrifice anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I have morals. Mm-hmm. And that's what the joke was.
That's what the whole moral thing
That's what the joke was. And he's all, yeah, kid, I had morals too.
Yeah.
It cost me an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And so they're in the car. They're arguing about this. Daphne and Martin is like, just do it. It's like, I can't become that person.
Just do it.
Because if...
Sorry.
God damn it.
I had to.
God damn it. Okay. I'm not going to even go... This is a happy place.
I know.
This is a happy place. So they're in the car. They're arguing. It says, just, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Just
regardless.
Do it. Yeah.
You got to do it. You know what I mean? But he's like, I don't want to sacrifice anyone. I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
I'm a good person. And then fast forward to the ending where he's fully mutated into this monster.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing the signal to Daphne. He's like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And that's
like, if
like,
anyone deserves this, it's
this guy. Because he's the one that caused all this.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't know why she hesitates. She should have been right on it. But I
just think because she was in shock or something.
Probably. Maybe she didn't want to like, oh, well, I don't know.
It was in her hands at that point.
Yeah.
So she does. She does press it.
She does press enter. And then at that time, the pods go. And the security guards outside that are welding outside.
Yeah, they're trying to
get in. Mm-hmm. Point their guns at the pod.
Yeah. And they're all watching. They're all watching what's happening.
Once it's done, big fucking monster comes out
of the second pod.
in
Yeah.
the second pod, and all of a sudden, I don't know how.
Which was great though. I want to give them props because you think they're both fucked. Like you think they just turn into one giant mutant mess.
Yeah.
And they trick you for a minute.
They do.
You know, and I was like, oh, that's really great
I
storytelling.
kind of wish they kind of played that up a little bit more, but then it comes back to Daphne Zuniga, and she's like, "Oh, Martin!"
Yeah.
And she goes back and she starts like moving all that like shit off of him.
So then he's behind.
Get closer to the mic.
Yeah, you have to get closer.
And then she kisses him.
Well, okay, so like
I'm like, oh
He's-
no, she didn't.
he comes out of his cocoon thing.
And he's covered
And he's
in
covered,
blood
and you think
shit.
he's fucked though. You think like, oh, Martin's done, like there's no more of him. But no, he's covered. And then she like opens him up, and then he's all covered in who knows what that
Goo.
is. It's like jizz and goo, everything in one. Who knows? And then he's alive. He made it. He was successful.
And she hugs him and then
Yeah.
leans in.
Yeah.
I still maintain she didn't kiss him, but
She just leans in. Maybe it was like she
I-
was gonna
I
kiss
was
him,
like-
but
I was like, you know what? Maybe she gave him an Eskimo kiss. You don't know.
Eskimo
Because
kiss.
I wouldn't even put my face near the...
I wouldn't either.
it's like, shh.
But
Hey,
and
you
then
know what? He
I
had a hard 10 minutes, dude. Come on, you deserved a hug.
But-
you deserve a kiss.
so then it gets to Bartok, and then this is like such a great ending. Goes back to that weird well thing where the original
Yeah.
mutant dog was, and now guess who's there? It's Bartok and his mutant
now
glory.
he's the freak show.
Now he's the freak
experiment.
with that oatmeal blue cheese stuff.
Yeah, and they're all gathered around
Yeah.
watching him. And it's just like,
I thought
oh,
that was
wow.
great. That was a great
I thought that
ending.
was such a cathartic ending too, because I
Yeah.
was just like,
He
oh,
got
man,
his,
yeah,
you know?
you got what you wanted, motherfucker. Not in
Yeah.
the way you wanted it, but you got it for sure.
I just really liked this movie, and I feel like it just got. It's so weird because it did so well in Europe.
yeah,
you know,
I
like-
I actually looked up the box office numbers, and
They weren't bad. Like they were successful, but
it was successful. It made domestically, it grossed over 38 million.
yeah,
Others said 40 million even.
Something like
I
that,
think it's
yeah.
because they want to round off. But according to the numbers.com, The Fly domestically totally grossed 38 million, which
So,
I didn't think was bad.
it's
and then
not
it
bad
opened
for that
number
time
one.
too, especially for that time. I just feel like the reviews. It didn't do well with the reviews, but then I looked into this, like, why did people not like it? And then some people think the same way I do, like, oh, it's just so underrated, and there's great storytelling. The effects were great, you know, it had good script writers, had Frank Darabont, Meg Garris.
I want to say Darabont was the one that did the dog. Just so you guys know, he was the one that killed the dog. Not Mick Garris, it was Darabont.
Well, Darabont's known for doing shit like that,
Yeah,
you know?
but here's the thing, you know, it opened February 10th,
So we're on Valentine's Day.
and it didn't really have no competition,
Yeah.
honestly. It opened up against Tap and Cousins, which I don't know
Oh,
either of
wow.
those movies.
I don't know those movies. either.
Exactly. So this opened number one that weekend.
Wow.
Next weekend, guess what opened?
What?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and The Burbs.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I
And
don't remember
that's
the
why-
Burbs doing well either.
No, The Burbs didn't do well. The Burbs
Yeah.
opened. No, The Burbs did open number one, but it
It
fell.
Because that's got a cult following now.
It did, because it did open number one, but it fell. Bill and
Okay.
Ted grew.
Was
and-
this Bill and Ted 2 or
No,
Bill
the
and
first
Ted 1? Oh, okay.
Bill and Ted didn't open successfully,
Uh-huh.
but it was like Jumanji,
Oh.
where like it didn't have a great opening weekend,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden it started
It
to
skyrocketed?
grow. Yeah, because
That's interesting.
I looked at March, and there was no competition
Really?
for any of those movies.
So I wonder why in Europe it did better than...
Because I think they were a little bit.
I'm gonna fucking kill that guy. I'm gonna kill him.
You know what? I honestly think they see the microphones and the setup. Like,
I think
you know
they
what?
see your car and then, oh, that guy's here. Okay, we gotta fuck up her sound right now.
Yeah, and I go, "Arr," like
Because it's different every single time.
Yeah.
Like usually they come at 2 or like 1, but now it's like it's early and they're in the day. So I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Gotta roll with it. Can't control everything.
So. I don't know why it did well in Europe. A lot of movies that don't do well here do very well in Europe
Yeah.
for whatever reason. You
That's
know what I
true.
mean? I think it's maybe because it's marketed different. It's
Yeah.
it's the people over there get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just like, there's this perception of Americans in cinema that we don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like we're dumb, we don't understand it.
Yeah, and so I'm not trying to be pretentious or nothing like that, but I am trying to say though, like that's the perception that Americans have is like, oh well, they're too uptight, they don't understand this. It's like, and that's why certain movies over there work better because they're
true.
like, oh, we get it. They're a little bit more looser with their things, and it's not as taboo over there.
That's true.
You know
and
what I mean?
This was marketed, like I said, as a date movie and like a creature, like a monster movie too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like the people at the time. You know what I think though? Now looking back on it, because this was late 80s, everyone who was a teenager in the 80s was used to slasher. You know, you had your Freddys, you had your Jason, you had a lot of that kind of horror. Where this, since it's sci-fi horror, maybe they just weren't as into this.
Maybe because there was a Freddy movie later that year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think
and there's so many slasher movies in the 80s.
I think it was the Dream Master.
Oh, okay.
I think it was the Dream Master that came out that year, and then there was a Friday movie that came out that year too, I think.
So I just think maybe that's why. And like I said, I always argue with people because I love sci-fi horror, and I think it really gets shat on, and it doesn't get the respect that it deserves. And to me, it's so creative. You always have to think, okay, we've seen people chop up bodies, we've seen blood, but it's like they're more creative in the sense.
Yeah.
And there's no CGI in this one, which is great. It's like literally special effects. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel this just gets really dismissed and swept under the rug.
Well, it's funny because the documentary that's on, there's a documentary on YouTube called Behind the Making of the Fly 2, and it's with Chris Wallace and his
who's the director
and his screenwriter, I think. Not his screenwriter.
The producer?
Yeah, I think it's the producer.
And Chris Wallace was the special effects guy on the first
On the
Fly.
first one, yeah.
This was his first directorial debut, and he was nervous.
Last one too, right?
Was it? I don't know. But he was nervous to do this. You know? He was kind of like not forced, but kind of forced into it. But I don't know. Like I thought he did a decent job. Like it's funny because he's like, "Oh, I wish I fought harder for more things," but it was a learning experience.
And the thing too is that I listened to Mick Garris, and I heard his original pitch and his original idea
for the Fly 2.
For the Fly 2, and I was talking to my lady about it. I was like, "Dude, I wanted to see this fucking movie." This movie. What was his original idea was to have Veronica still pregnant, right? Still has the baby, and she's thinking about getting an abortion. And at that time, there were people that were handing out pamphlets and putting them on windshields that says, "Don't have an abortion. Come to us. We will raise the child for you."
Wow.
And so she takes him up on that offer, and then midway through the movie, she starts giving birth, and then she dies. After birth, she still dies. So the opening scene of the Fly 2, that still happens.
Okay,
that still happens.
But that's in the middle of the movie.
It's like maybe 20 minutes in.
Oh,
so that way you start building up. Getting attached to Gina Davis's character again. You gotta get reintroduced to her, and so she dies, and then the movie focuses on the kid now.
Oh, okay.
But then the twist is that the people that were handing out those pamphlets,
that will take care of your kid.
A cult.
Oh,
it was a cult, and they were trying to raise a breed of superhumans, and that's why they wanted, Seth's baby, because he's.
Did they know it's his baby?
I think that's what it was, and I think they planned it that way because. They wanted to extract his DNA to create a beings a super race.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, that would have been such a fucking cool movie.
That sounds like a cool idea.
But then that movie, but he was saying that movie was so dark and so vastly different than what we had got. And he was also saying that when I went to the premiere of the Fly 2, like. He slowly started shrinking in his seat. He's like, "This is not the movie I wrote."
Oh.
He's like, "No." He honestly thought his career was over.
Really?
Yeah, after that movie.
Well, there's like 4 writers attached
but he
to
was
it.
the top writer though. He had top billing, and then because it's Mick Garris, the two brothers, and then Frank Darabont at the bottom.
Yeah.
So everyone's gonna see Mick Garris. It's like, oh, a lot of these ideas are there.
I think because they had so much notoriety at that time.
Yeah, and so but Darabont wrote Nightmare 3.
That's true.
I don't know why he didn't get much credit for that.
Yeah, a lot of people dismissed Darabont. The Walking Dead kicked him off, and he was the one that brought the show.
No, they kicked him off because they didn't like what they were going to do with it. And it was because he wanted it darker.
They should have done it darker.
And season 2, he had this whole story planned out.
Yeah.
And they abandoned it midway through the season. He's like, I don't want to do that shit. No, I'm done.
I didn't like season 2. I thought I wanted his way because I like him and I think he's a good writer.
Yeah. And so
anyway,
we'll touch on that in a little bit. But Mick Garris was like, I wasn't happy, but then he got residuals for it,
and then he was happy.
He's like, got 40,000 from it. I was like, what the fuck? So this movie might not have done well in the theaters, but this movie must have done very well VHS wise, rental wise, because this is the kind of movie that you would rent.
Yeah,
and this is the kind of movie that you would buy. Yeah. Honestly, because this is a movie that we talked about this in our 90s podcast where a lot of the horror movies went straight to video, and a lot of they got bought out. And they did very well for themselves.
That's true.
And then because of that, they got re-releases.
Yeah.
And Fly 2 is actually on Diabolic for Blu-ray right now, on Blu-ray.
Good. I'm glad, because I just feel and I even looked at people's reviews and on different horror sites. So many shit on this movie. And it's we get it. It's not going to live up to the first one with Jeff
Nothing
Goldblum.
will ever live up to
Nothing
the first
ever
one.
lives up to originals.
That's Cronenberg right there.
So you have to go into this with that mindset. And I think if you're a teenager, you're going to be a little shithead anyways, and you're not no, the first one, blah, blah. You have to go in very immature.
I honestly think that The Fly wouldn't be popular with teenagers anyway at that time.
Well, that's why I'm saying maybe that's why it didn't do well, because it was marketed to teenagers, but maybe not enough teens went to see this because they wanted slasher, they wanted Jason, they wanted Freddy.
The original fans from the first Fly went into the Fly 2, and they got a big fucking surprise.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, this isn't the movie that we want to see. No.
So, I don't know. And I think Jeff Goldblum was saying that they want to do another sequel. Did you hear about this?
Oh, yeah. There was actually, and that was funny, too, because Mick Garris was actually talking about this on the Shockwaves podcast, saying that Gina Davis was attached to produce a Flies movie. And this was 2010, but no movement has been.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened to it.
Yeah.
Since then, and I'm thinking, well, do we really need another Fly movie? I'm okay without one right now.
Yeah, I'm okay. It'd be cool if they did something another creature movie that's different.
But here's the thing, and this is the thing that scares me the most. Is that it is going to be completely CGI.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's shitty.
That, to me, scares me because, the reason The Fly worked was not only because of the emotional connection, but because of the visuals that you saw.
And you feel him going through it.
Yeah, you saw the goo. You saw him
the transformations.
Going through it. You felt uneasy watching that movie.
Yeah.
You kind of feel uneasy watching this, too, because you see the warts coming out on his face. It's like, oh, motherfucker. You start feeling it.
You feel it. And, CGI, it doesn't have that same impact.
No, and I know me and you, we talk about this a lot, practical, yes, it may be expensive, but
it works.
it works, and it has that impact that you want.
Yeah.
CGI just doesn't have it. CGI blood doesn't do it either, because if there's really there's no consequence.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's no weight to it. When
there's something really stiff about the movement of CGI.
Stiff? Yeah.
Stiff.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same kind of movement.
Like the fluidity of, I could see that.
Something real when they splash real blood on someone.
And that was my argument for the new It. That was terrible, the CGI. I'm sorry, it was when he's doing, and I always say this, so I probably say this in every podcast, but his little stupid dance and
with that dance.
but then when he twists and churns, that was so bad. I think if they stuck with practical effects, like I said, when it was just Pennywise in that sewer scene, that was good. That was scary. But then they added all that horrible CGI. I was like, this is so bad.
It's not as bad as Langoliers.
I wasn't a fan of the Langoliers. I mean, so
Like that first half of that, the first half of that movie is fucking awesome. But once
they're remaking it, aren't they?
I don't know.
I think they are.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that once you get to like you see like the time eaters or whatever, they look like fucking little gray balls and with
The
chomps.
little balls. Yeah, that's
And
right.
They look like it looks like computer generated CGI.
I have no idea.
It looks so bad.
It's bad. Yeah.
You know, the first half of that movie is pretty good because they're all like wondering what the fuck happened, what's
Yeah.
going on, blah blah blah, and then
Yeah.
you start seeing these little chomps just eating the whole fucking world. It's like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I mean that's bad CGI. I mean, as for it, I don't know. I mean, I can make a case for it, but I'm just too lazy to, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, we could do another thing on that, but
And so-
you know what I mean? Like, nothing is as good as practical effects.
Yeah, and, to me, I think practical, and this movie still holds up.
It still holds up,
Still
yeah.
holds up,
Especially that
you know?
face melting scene,
Yeah,
you know? I think a lot of people, if when they're first watching this, stick with it because it's the last, like, 20, 30 minutes.
that last 15 minutes is
yeah,
fun.
it just
and it's
really...
a completely different movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's a completely, it's a fucking creature feature.
It's a
and
creature feature.
You know, so you just gotta wait it out, and then it rewards you
Yeah.
with this fantastic ending and this fantastic sequence in the
Yep.
corridors, and that, you know, you're like, oh shit. You know, when
And
I
the music was good too. You know what it reminded me of? The score it reminded me of Basic Instinct meets Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The fucking music reminded me of Hellraiser.
Well,
He was the composer from Hellraiser.
He was the composer
And I
of
was like-
Hellraiser. Yeah,
And every time
and the
that
DP worked on Hellraiser as well.
yeah, every time that music cue like came on, I was like, "What the fuck is with this Hellraiser music?
But
What's
it was
going
good.
on?"
I liked it though. It was good.
I honestly thought it didn't kind of fit. Honestly,
Really?
yeah, I didn't think I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't think it fit, but you know, it had an appeal. You know, I get that you're trying to like build
The
up,
build up. Yeah.
like what's like a goth, whatever, like gothic sound.
yeah.
You know, because that's what it sounded.
Like a
Because
gothic romance sound.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Hellraiser was like a gothic romance. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then you have this one. I understand that it's like all futuristic, but you're dealing with like really heavy themes
Mhm.
as like Hellraiser kind of. So I
And
guess
there's
you
a
want those
moody-
musical cues to be moody and
Yeah.
then build up to like a crescendo.
And
But
I
I
think-
honestly feel like it didn't work for the movie.
Oh. But to get back to that, I also think I liked this movie because it was moody. You know,
Yeah.
he was very kind of like brood, and I don't know if that's just Eric Stoltz, but
That's
there's
Eric
like a
Stoltz.
brooding. I love Eric Stoltz, but there's like a brooding thing to it, you know, and like a moodiness, and I don't know, I'm attracted to those kind. I don't think they make those anymore.
No, they don't, because everything's so like light,
Yeah.
and like palpable, and just like every scene is like vibrant. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, so I saw The Nun.
I haven't seen it yet, but she looks so scary.
So there's a few instances in there where they capture that goth aesthetic.
yeah, cause the churches and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
and it looks really, you know, really evil.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's fucking pretty cool. But then, you know, you juxtapose it with like another scene that's really light and vibrant, and it just like it kind of takes you
Oh.
out of it, because then when you go back outside, it's like
like sunny
and stuff like that, and like birds are chirping and shit.
they
Like,
didn't keep that tone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't keep it consistent, and that's
Mm.
what I didn't. That's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, I felt like, you know, certain movies can capture that aesthetic, but I feel like a lot of movies can't keep it.
Yeah,
Can't keep it up.
I agree with you on
Because
that.
a lot of people they get bored of it, I think. And I
Yeah.
think that's why they try to switch it up on you a lot.
But it's not necessary. It's good to have like a consistency, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, The Fly too. You know, I know I gave you a lot of shit for this, but I was entertained by it.
Good.
I had a lot of fun with it in like the last 15 minutes, and I was like blown away. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit,
I figured
This
you'd
movie-
like that part.
this whole like, you know, I was rewarded throughout, and like, you know, ask my lady and she'll tell you like, dude, like I was jumping out on my seat like, yeah, this is
It's-
fucking awesome.
It's a fun movie. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cast, Stoltz
Yeah.
and Zuniga. I really wish Zuniga got more of a chance to shine.
Yeah, she's kind
I
of
mean,
yeah.
I mean, not in the movie in general. She was fine in the movie, but I wish what I meant by that is like,
In life.
Yeah, I guess if you want to go that route, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like she was like Elizabeth Shue, where like she had
Oh.
like 3 good roles, and then all of a sudden she just kind of, disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
'cause-
Zuniga was like a mainstay on Melrose Place for like
Yeah.
for throughout seasons, but even that though, I feel like I felt like she should have been destined for something more.
She should. I mean, I know
Because she had the look. She's
done a lot of Lifetime movies kind of stuff in the 90s and the
yeah.
2000s, but I loved her in The Sure Thing. Did you ever see that with John Cusack?
No.
That's such a good 80s movie. It's a good like rom-com.
Yeah, I don't do rom coms.
But it's a good
don't do
it's
that.
it's a good one. It's John Cusack. But yeah, so I guess what's your overall rating?
I give this like 3 Z's out of 5.
Okay,
honestly.
not bad.
I mean, to
Better
me,
than I expected.
I enjoyed the movie a lot more than I was. I kind of
Good.
went into it like, just give it a shot, whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy that I had to fucking sign up for a 7-day trial though.
Oh, HBO. So it's available on HBO.
Yeah, it's on HBO, HBO Now, and HBO Go.
Yeah,
so.
and it used to be on Netflix, and they just take things off, which is really annoying. But what can you
Yeah,
do?
and you can also find it on Diabolic DVD too, and it's on sale I think too. So
Cool.
I think people should go do that.
It needs to have easier access, I think.
Yeah, this is a fun movie. I would recommend people go check this out.
I give it a 4 out of 5 because I don't know. I really liked it. I first saw this on AMC like way back when AMC used to show horror movies every Friday night. That's kind of how I was introduced to this. And then I saw it like in my 20s, and then I was like, oh, I missed this movie. Like I've only seen it once.
So,
had commercials.
So how old are you when you saw this movie?
I think like my late teens. Yeah, late teens, and then I revisited it in my 20s, and then I revisited it last year because I was on a big like sci-fi horror binge, and I did like a marathon with the First Fly. So yeah, so and then I saw it this week. So but yeah, I try to tell people to watch it because a lot of people haven't even heard about it or they don't even know it exists. So.
Yeah, it's not a really like a bright spot in
It's
that.
not. It's
in
just
that
not well known.
filmography.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this back in the day, like when I was like a little kid, but I
Mhm.
didn't really pay attention to it. And I just remember I do remember seeing Stoltz, in
Yeah.
the corridor and stuff like that. I do remember stuff like that. But
Stoltz. Sounds like a drink. I'll have a Stoltz.
But that's as far as I can remember. I remember seeing The Fly a lot more on TV than
Yeah.
The Fly 2.
Which is crazy because it's like, how much can they show on TV? Because like it's violent.
It is edited down like a motherfucker.
You don't
on
see that
TV.
jaw coming off and
No.
like,
They
oh
cut
god,
around
he's so
it.
gross.
They cut around it for sure.
I can't eat when I watch these movies. I can't. Do you want to do our draw for next week?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's
So
do
we're
it.
gonna continue our Dog Days of Summer series with All the Boys Love Mandy Lane.
What? No, that's not selected. Mix it up in there. Watch me get the Fly 2 again. No,
Oh,
he
shit.
picked last time, right?
No, she picked.
You picked last time.
No, she's got to pick.
Okay,
'cause
so
she's
our
neutral.
producer is gonna pick it. And don't look. Look away.
I moved. I took
papers because when I grab, I'm like,
Don't
took
look
all,
away.
I took everything that we wrote
Okay.
and I just replaced them all with All the Boys Love Mandy Lane.
No. Okay, what is it?
Yeah, that's hers.
Dun. It's mine?
That's hers. No, that's hers.
and the movie is antiviral.
Oh, yes, another one of mine. We're on a sci-fi horror binge, Antiviral.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Which is Cronenberg's son, Brandon
Make sure-
Cronenberg, who directed
don't put it back in there. Yeah,
And that's
well,
on
I
Netflix.
saw you put it back
It's
in there.
on Netflix, I believe, or it was, and it was also on Amazon Prime. So, and I
It's-
think it might be on Shudder. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's on Shudder. I think it's still on Netflix.
It better still be on Netflix because they take shit off every week.
Wasn't that like a wasn't that a Netflix original?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No. I was on the hunt for that movie because I first saw the trailer and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch this. You couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't playing anywhere. I bought the London DVD or the British DVD, and you have to have like a different code when you buy those DVDs because they're not adapted to like a normal DVD player. So I had to change my laptop settings and everything just to watch this movie. And then I finally and now there's more access to it, which is good. But this came out a while ago.
And it's not on Netflix.
They took it off Netflix?
They took it off Netflix.
Are you
What
kidding
is it?
me?
What is with you?
It's not my fault. This was
abide by the
literally.
rules
Oh
or
my God.
nothing.
It was on Netflix. Let me check Amazon because I'm pretty sure Amazon usually keeps stuff, I think. I can't believe Netflix took it off.
It's on YouTube, Prime, and Google.
Okay, it's Prime. There you go.
So Prime is $2.99.
Do you have Amazon Prime?
God damn it!
You don't have Amazon Prime?
No, I have Prime. I gotta rent it though.
No, it's not on there if you have Prime.
No, it is on Prime, but you have to rent. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, but I thought you didn't. I thought it was on there if you have Prime. Like you don't have to rent it.
Oh no, it's on there, but you have to. Like, there's certain movies on there where you have to rent.
That sucks. Are you kidding me? Netflix took it off. That's so stupid. I'm really not a fan of Netflix.
I honestly feel
lately.
there's a conspiracy against me to not get none of my movies up. Like I'm honestly.
I haven't touched. No, I haven't touched anything. She was there. She did it.
I honestly feel like there's a conspiracy against me.
Do you want to go again? We could go again.
Oh my God. No, I don't want to go again. All right.
Big baby.
Aries, man. Jesus Christ. I
Does
can't
it-
believe they
does
took
it
it off Netflix.
Doesn't mean that if there's no proof. I forgot what he said. Just
What?
because they're not out to get you doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Wow. Oh, that's so stupid that they took it off. I can't believe that. Lame.
Yeah, it's not on Shudder either. So it's on
Okay, Amazon Prime.
it's on Prime.
All right, well, we're on a sci-fi horror binge here, so I look forward to
Alright,
discussing
so-
that. I don't know if you're gonna like that movie, but give it a chance.
Well, I obviously gave The Fly 2 a
Like
chance.
2014,
Okay.
2015. Yeah, Caleb
Uh,
Landry Jones, who I love. Another redhead who reminds me of Eric Stoltz.
Was he a douche too?
Eric Stoltz isn't a douche. Oh my God. No, they're both redheads and pale, and they have like the same mannerisms and like demeanor.
So they're assholes.
No. Oh my God.
I'm just giving
Are
you a
hearing
hard
this?
time. All right.
He's just
all right.
pissed off because we didn't select one of his movies.
All the boys love Mandy Lane. Just
overrated.
saying.
That's an overrated movie, not underrated.
Nah.
Every guy like jizzes his pants when he talks about that movie.
No, that's not true.
like,
I
"Oh,
see a
Mandy
lot
Lane,
of women
oh."
like that movie.
I don't know.
I see a lot of women love that movie. A lot of
Well,
guys don't really like that movie, honestly.
I don't have to worry about that because next week's my pick. So, all right. Well,
All right. Well, that's it for us. Bump in the night. I'm Johnny Zuko
and Elysa.
and we are out.
Bye bye. Stay scary.
Bye.